Now we have more clips and interviews from the second annual DC South Asian Film Festival, organized by Manoj and Geeta Singh of Caesar Productions from May 10th through 12th in Rockville, Maryland.
So you began your career as a model, then you competed for the Miss India pageant, became a supermodel. What inspired you to make the transition from modeling to acting?
I was called in for an audition for Virasat, and I remember going in for it, and I booked the job, and I got the movie. And I come from a non-movie background. Nobody in my family's history has ever been in movies, and it was just an awesome experience. And the movie turned out to do well, and I just got, with that wave, I got a lot of other movies, and I just kind of kept going with the flow.
So you've received critically acclaimed praise for a lot of your movies. You've received all these awards. What's been some of the most memorable characters that you can recall from some of the work that you've done?
Definitely my launch, Virasat, where I play Anita. My movie Taj Mahal, where I play Noor Jahan. My movie Chandralekha, that was a Malayalam film. And these are some of the movies that I liked. And I'm doing a movie right now called Punjabi Professional, and it's I love the role in it.
And typically in Indian, especially commercial films, we see more like male-dominated storylines, which is why a lot of times we see 50, 60-year-olds still playing the lead role, which is not necessarily the case for a lot of actresses. Why do you think that is, and do you think that trend is changing with time?
I think it is, yeah. Yeah.
So, and can you talk a little bit about some of your upcoming projects? I know you mentioned the Punjabi film.
Right. So I have a movie. It's called The Spirit of Mumbai. It should be releasing this year. And I'm shooting a project called The Punjabi Professional, which is shooting in LA. So when I go back now, I'll be shooting the last schedule.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a film about, it is ostensibly a biographical film through the eyes of the filmmaker Sudhir Mishra. But it is not really a biographical film if you read between the lines. It's actually a film about how screwed up we are in India, as far as the Indian cultural scene is concerned, and how things have deteriorated. And despite that, it is not a downer as a film because of Sudhir Mishra also, because even somebody like him is unable to fulfill his potential, which he says pretty much at the beginning of the film. So this film is really an exploration of that, for how difficult it is to fulfill yourself, or to fully exploit your potential. That's what the film is about.
That's extremely interesting. It seems like it'll be entertaining subject also. But tell us how you come up with these kind of ideas. Like what inspires you?
I think the biggest thing is that I don't need to make a living from film, which is not to say that I'm making a great living otherwise. It just happens that I had committed myself to a non-film project for 3 years, and I was missing making a film, so I made this with my own savings. Initially, I started it with my own savings, and finally, Films Division, took over the film, which was great, but. I think if this pressure of trying to make a living through the film you make is taken out of the equation, then I think a lot of such then people will really make films that they really want to make, and will not worry too much about what people like. So that's where it comes from. Really, it's a concern that I have. I believe people keep saying things like these are great times for Indian cinema and things like that, and I don't think they are at all. In fact, if anything, they're worse than what they were 10 years ago. This is my opinion, and not everybody agrees with me. In fact, even Sudhir Mishra doesn't agree with me. So, but it was interesting to use him as a vehicle to explore this idea. And there are a lot of other people who have been interviewed in this film, like Nasiruddin Shah, and stalwarts like Said Mirza, and Kundan Shah, and lots of people, and also contemporary directors and actors, and other artists. So it's just an interesting thing that comes out of it.
And how do you get your? I mean, you do the films, you do your work. How do you make time to do both?
No, actually, this film, my production house is called Saturday Films, because we only work on Saturdays on the film. So it took us 2.5 years to make the film, but we only worked on Saturdays, and that too, sometimes there was a gap of 6-8 months between. We didn't even work on Saturdays. After we, the edit, of course, we worked pretty much full time, but otherwise we worked only on Saturdays, really, on the film.
And what's your aspiration for the future?
I would like to make a living from the work that I like to do. So that's my aspiration from the future. I really don't care about who likes my film, who doesn't like my film. Very honestly, unfortunately that's tied up with if people like your film only, then will you get budgets to make your next film and stuff like that. So I will be a full-time filmmaker from next year again. So I think I will maybe reconsider this. I will start thinking about this more closely next year. Right now I really couldn't care less about this film, how it went. Films division has been great. I think they've got a new director general who's changing the way they look at non-fiction films, and I think some good films can be expected from that.
Wonderful. We wish you the best of luck, and we hope to continue seeing you at these festivals.
Thanks a lot. Good talking to you.
I was a field producer, and I was sent out into the field with some of the United States' best directors of photographers, ranging from Diana Taylor to Gordon Lonsdale, Jean Gonzac, actually the latter two direct things like CSI and Law and Order that we moved over to the directorial side. So I had a great opportunity to see how in the documentary tradition, some amazing people work with 16 millimeter shoulder, handheld cameras. This is back in the late 70s and early 80s, when there really weren't anything in video that approaches, miniature cameras, let alone professional cameras that could be used in the field for documentary or fiction production. I tell all my students when they're thinking about working with a camera, especially little cameras or cameras that are handheld, how do you move through space? How do you explore the world? And my advice to everyone is to actually learn Tai Chi. Because there was a time when I was teaching for 28 years previously at Columbia University in New York. And one morning I was racing to school, late for class, had my bicycle on my shoulder running up the steps, tripped, hurt my back, and as I kind of struggled up the steps, I saw a group of people, just regular folks, actually doing something that was very, very strange. They're moving in slow motion as a group. And as I just stopped, my back was hurting, my bike was, just in a panic, but I calmed down as I was watching them, and I said, you know what? That's how those cinematographers move through space. It's the steady cam, but without the steady cam. And I realized that every one of our joints is a little gyroscope. And one thing you can take away and either practice if you use the camera, or watch when you look at documentary or fiction, is to see not the shot, but the movement along the framing. So when I move through space with my camera, I'm not looking at the image. I've done this so long now that I actually can frame a shot without looking. You tell me you want a close-up, I can give you a close-up, and if I make a move, you'll see that move. I look at the camera itself, and it's almost like carrying raw egg in your hand. You don't want to spill it, or a full glass of water. So I try to use everything I can to be smooth through space. And from that, I learned that the reason that I've made documentaries, that I love being on every continent on this wonderful earth of ours, is because I love dancing with reality. I love exploring space.
I thought it was a great workshop. Got to learn quite a lot about filmmaking on how different it is from still photography, though it actually uses the same principles. And really want to thank Manoj and Geeta for having such an event, because it's very hard to get exposure to some of the pioneers in the industry that have this knowledge and are willing to come out here and actually share that information with us.
I have with me now Priyam Bhargav, who is Miss India USA. Welcome, Priyam. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine. How are you?
Good, thank you. Can you please tell us a little bit about how you started on this journey of being Miss India?
Sure. I actually participated in the Miss India DC, Maryland, Virginia pageant, and that was the first step in getting me to where I am today.
So there's a lot of girls out there who are not sure. They see, advertisements about a pageant, and they're interested and curious, but they're not exactly sure if they should make that step. What made you decide?
I actually had those exact same feelings, and it was a different opportunity. Being someone who's in the law and practicing law, it was something completely different. And the law always encourages you to step outside of your comfort zone and to try something new, and that's exactly what I did. So I totally recommend girls that are conflicted to really just go out there and put yourself out there and see what can happen for you.
And so after you won the DC area pageant, you went on to New York to compete. Please tell us a little bit about that, and then what was the outcome of that?
Sure. I went on to compete for Miss India USA along with girls from all these other states. I think I had those same feelings of, is this something for me, because I had no pageant experience. But once I got there, it was an amazing experience. It's really about who you are and how you carry yourself and what you have to offer. So it turned out great for me. I won the title for Miss India USA and got to represent the United States at Miss India Worldwide.
So you went one step further, and how was that experience? Miss India Worldwide, and where was it held?
I actually just came back from Malaysia, which is where it was, and we were in Kuala Lumpur, which is a beautiful city. And the Worldwide pageant was amazing. I met girls from all countries. There were 38 other countries that were there. And everyone just had a really unique story. They were brilliant, they were beautiful. And I did really well there too. I actually placed in the top 10. And so it was a great experience for me.
And have you met a lot of interesting people that you've made friendships with and are going to continue in the future?
Yeah, actually we all stay in touch. We've got a little Viber and WhatsApp app group. And so we all are texting each other even after the pageant's over, and all the girls are wishing each other good luck on exams, because many of us are actually pursuing different degrees.
So I'd like to tell you, you're not only beautiful, but you're very intelligent and poised and confident. And what do you think your future holds for you? Do you think that you're going to pursue some other career in conjunction with your law career?
Yes, I know myself, and I know I can never just do one thing. And so while I always will have a passion for the law, I am looking at acting and modeling right now and taking that alternative route, because that's something I want to try while I'm young.
I'm sure you'll be successful. We wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for talking with us.